Hey comic lovers, EMoney and the old man back with you again. So today we are here to give our reviews for comic books for the week of January 13th, 2021. So before we do that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on your notifications, give us a thumbs up if you like us, and even if you don't like us,
just
give us a thumbs up. And leave us a comment. We'd like to know you guys are out there. Also, I want to give a shout out to Bubs Comics for liking our last video for back issues, the Golden Age episode. He shared it with his viewers, so want to rescind that. So don't forget to check out Bubs Comics on YouTube and check out what he's doing.
Thanks, Bubs.
Yep. All right, so the week of January 13th comic books. So,
ready to roll?
Yeah, let's do it. So we want to explain our rating system. Last week we were just kind of winging it. So we're going to do what most people would be a 5-star review rating system, but we're going to do 5 shields because we're comic book people.
And also because adequate.
Adequate, not adequate, more than adequate. Yeah. Let's be more specific.
We're going to go with 5 shields, 3 being adequate.
Right.
3's average.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So first up, let's do the future state.
We'll start with future state.
Yeah.
All right. There was a bunch of them.
Yeah, a lot of number ones again.
There was 7 of them to be exact.
Mm-hmm. So what's first?
Dark Detective.
All right. So in this one, it follows a lot like the other Gotham Future State issues. We follow a character who is sort of on the run from this authoritarianism society, like a lot of the other Bat family members out there. And we see him struggle. Don't want to give too much away. And also, there's another story, one for a grifter. More on that in a little bit here. But we see I guess a personal dilemma in the character and deciding what he is going to do in this new society. So the first story, storyline-wise, I was pretty impressed with, so I gave it a 4. Artwork didn't offend me, was perfectly adequate. So I gave it a 3.
Well, we agreed on the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
But the storyline, I didn't care for it at all. I only gave it a 2.
Okay, so disagreed on that.
So the backup story about Grifter now.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about Grifter.
No, you never read Grifter. Grifter was an Image comic, and you didn't read a whole lot of Image.
No, I mean, I guess you could say I've seen him around.
He's got a cool mask. I like the scarf thing.
And he's popped up in 1 or 2 DC animated films. But the story, I guess you could say I like his sass. He's definitely got a bit of an attitude and dark sense of humor. So storyline wise, I gave it a 3. It kind of fell apart in the end because it kind of lost a little bit of interest and traction for me. Artwork, perfectly adequate, so I also gave it a 3.
Yeah, we agreed on that one. I gave that story 3 for story, 3 for art. So overall,
issue overall was
a 3.
It's a 3. All right, so on to the next one.
Green Lantern #1. Both Dark Detective and Green Lantern have a $5.99 cover price.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this one had 3 stories. The first story is a group of Green Lanterns led by John Stewart in a situation where they don't have their power rings. The power rings don't work anymore, but the Green Lanterns being who they are, they're doing what they do, whether they have rings or not. And they're fighting to save a civilization from another oppressive civilization. And leading the charge is John Stewart, who, without the rings, he's probably the least powerful of the Green Lanterns, but that's not going to stop him. And we see them struggle to save these people. So storyline wise, I like that it's a bit of a departure from your typical Green Lantern story, so I gave it a 3. Um, Artwork wise, was a bit above average, I thought, so I gave it a 4.
Well, we agreed on the artwork. I gave it a 4 also. But my problem is I have never been a Green Lantern fan since they started the Green Lantern Corps. When there was a red power ring, a yellow power ring, a purple power ring, a paisley power ring, I lost all interest with the Green Lantern Corps. I like basic, back to earth, fighting with the Justice League. If you're going to go off into space, keep it simple. I've not liked, let's go fight Sinestro, not Sinestro and 20,000 other guys. Everybody's got a ring. I want a ring. Okay? But anyway, I only gave the storyline a 2.
Okay.
Now, the second story was a Jessica Cruz story. What did you think of that?
Well, Jessica Cruz is a younger, more recent Green Lantern, but also she does not have her power ring. That's sort of the situation with the future state stories concerning Green Lanterns. So there's something about stories where someone turns to the dark side. Star Wars, other comic book stories. Something as simple as a decorated detective becoming a criminal, whatever. But it's another situation altogether when they have no say in the matter. Some artificial intelligence that says to you, "Hey, I think you're going to be good for the dark side. You're on the dark side now. You're a Sith. So I don't care what you think about it. That's what you're going to do from now on." So that's what this story is kind of about. So interesting. I like that they threw me a few curveballs I wasn't expecting. So storyline wise, I gave it a 4, and artwork I thought was pretty solid. So I also gave it a 4.
Well, we disagreed on this one. I guess it's that Green Lantern thing. I just didn't care for the story. I gave it a 2. The artwork was okay, nothing special. I gave it a 3.
Okay.
And so finally, the third story. Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner arrives on a planet on the verge of a genocide, civil war, and he has his power ring starting out. That's how he gets there, but then he loses the power ring. It doesn't work anymore. So if you've ever read a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, it's sort of a similar situation where he has to make the best of his situation and try to get along without his ring. And he doesn't know how long he's going to be there, so he just sort of goes from there and introduces these people to some things that he knows about. And the departure from King Arthur's or Connecticut Yankee is that it's a guy like Guy Gardner. Mm. So storyline wise, I thought it was pretty entertaining. So I gave it a 3. Artwork, I don't know. The dimensions looked a little off, so I gave it a 2.
Well, we flipped on that one because I, once again, didn't like the storyline. I never really liked Guy Gardner that much, even when he was on Earth. So I gave the story a 2. The art, I thought it was adequate. I gave it a 3.
Okay. All right. So overall, the issue was
Another 3.
Yeah. All right.
3 shields.
3 shields
We're
out of
gonna
5.
do shields, right?
Yes.
Shields. All right. Next, we have the Future State Justice League #1. Now, we did get the variant. It's a card stock, $6.99 cover price.
All right. So this one is the futuristic Justice League. You have John Kent, who is the new Superman in Future State. Also, you have the new Wonder Woman and a bunch of other characters I am not as familiar with. You have a new Batman. I'm not sure who Batman is, even after reading the issue. So there's a bit of a mystery for you. And you have these other Justice League members, a unfamiliar Green Lantern, and a different Flash. So it starts out with a new generation Injustice Society or Legion of Doom, who is planning to take their revenge on this.
Always.
Yeah, on this new Justice League.
You know, if those guys would just put their heads together and decide they're going to leave the Justice League alone, they'd probably be okay.
Yep. But then the story takes a hard left turn, and it goes off in a direction I wasn't expecting going in. And also, you are introduced to the new rules for this new Justice League.
Yeah, they got a whole bunch of... Yeah, they're playing the game different.
Yeah. I mean, in the old Justice League, it was a community. You know, the Justice League was a support system for all members and, you know, extended family members. And they're not doing this in this new Justice League.
They're running this more like a business.
So that's sort of an interesting story there. And
so on the first story, what'd you give
it? First story, storyline-wise, I gave it a 4. Artwork didn't offend me, so I gave it a 3.
Well, we agreed 100% on that.
Okay,
4
so
to 3 from me also. What about the Justice League Dark story?
Next one was a Justice League Dark. Now, I haven't read a lot of Justice League Dark, but I'm somewhat familiar with the players. 2 characters, I'm not really sure how they got together, for lack of a better word. But you know, I'm eager to figure that out if they're going to explain it in future issues. And they're living in a society that is anti-magic, post-magic, and some people who are still hanging on to the old ways. So that's about all I can say without giving too much away. So storyline-wise, I gave it a 3. No, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, I did give it a 3. Okay. And artwork, again, not offensive, but nothing to write home about, so also gave it a 3.
We tied on that. I gave it the story and the art both 3s.
So that makes the overall issue a
3.5.
3.5. All right, so on to the next one. We have Kara Zor-El.
Now, we did get the cardstock variant, and it was $4.99.
All right, so in this issue, Kara is the leader of this society, community. It seems like it's some kind of pocket dimension, is a safe haven for beings who need somewhere to go. If you watched the Supergirl and the Arrowverse, you know, there was a community that was similar to this at the beginning of Crisis, where
on the moon.
I don't think it was a moon. It was somewhere. That survivors from Krypton stayed as a safe haven, and this is also where Clark and Lois went when Lois got pregnant, because, you know, you want the baby to be depowered while she was pregnant.
Yeah. And
that's where she gave birth, and that's where we start out in Crisis. So the community is a bit similar to this, and Kara is the leader here. And they encounter have a new arrival who is pretty unique to the community, and her abilities are unlike anything they've seen before. And after that, that's about all I can really say about this story.
Which, in my opinion, is plenty.
Yeah.
I didn't care for this story at all. I didn't care for the artwork. I gave the story 2 stars and the art 2 stars.
Yeah.
How'd you score it?
I gave it a 1 for storyline-wise.
Ouch.
And I gave it a 2 for artwork, and I thought I was being generous with the 2.
So overall, this comic book gets 2 shields.
All right, so...
Ouch. All right, next up we have Robin Eternal number 1, $3.99 cover price.
All right, so there's that. Again, a dystopian future where this Robin is kind of out on his own, like most of the Gotham stories. And he encounters a few old allies that he didn't know were still alive or still active.
I thought that was the best part of the story.
Yeah, and he is fighting the Man, for lack of a better word.
The Man.
And he finds out that they're about to introduce some new technology which will, you know, further oppress the people of Gotham. So he sets out to stop it. One thing they threw me for in the end was the shock factor towards the end of the issue. You know, I look at the pen, I'm like, oh my God! And then I flip the page like, oh okay, no, it's fine, it's fine.
Keep in mind, this is the future state books are like a what if.
Mm-hmm.
They can do anything they want to because it really doesn't count.
Yep. So story-wise, I gave it. Where am I? I gave it a 3.
Mm-hmm.
The artwork was above average, I thought, so I gave it a 4.
I, on the other hand, thought everything was average, 3 and a 3. So overall, Robin Eternal gets a 3. Well, we got a lot of 3s. 3, 3,
Yep.
3.5. Oh, we got the 1, 2, and a 3. All right, 2 left. Next, we have Future State Superman Wonder Woman #1. We did get a cardstock variant for $4.99.
Yep, there it is right there. And in this story, you have John Kent, Clark's son, and also the new Wonder Woman. I've forgotten her actual name. But
Just so you know, I'm enjoying the new Wonder Woman, which surprises me because I've never been a huge Wonder Woman fan.
now, something that kind of surprised me when I started reading these Future State issues was, John Kent is the son of Clark and Lois, so that means he's half human, right? So I thought that he would be, a little underpowered. He would be probably, Connor Kent, Superboy. But no, he seems to have all the same powers his father has.
Good for him.
Yeah. So you have Superman, this Superman, who is kind of mingling with a lot of the mythology stuff that you would find in a lot of Wonder Woman stories, and I'm not sure how much I like that. He seems out of place in this, but not a horrible story overall. So I gave him. Okay, I guess I gave it a little lesser score, so I gave it a 2. The artwork leaves a little bit to be desired because they show the close-ups of characters' faces, and it feels like that's not what Superman's supposed to look like. So artwork, I gave it 2.
Well, I agree with you on the artwork. I also gave it a 2. I thought that the new Superman is a little more interesting than you do, I guess. So I gave the story a 3. But overall, this comic still scored 2 shields. And the last Future State, before we move on to some of the other publishers, is Teen Titans. We got the regular cover, $3.99.
All right, so there it is right there. And I gotta say, I didn't get a whole lot out of this issue. You see, a couple of new characters introduced, and also you have a back and forth story. It's like, then, now, which I mean, if you do it right, I guess it's okay. This one just kind of threw me off. The only thing that really saved it for me was the last panel when, you see, what's coming up in, the next issue. You're like, oh, okay. Now it just became a little more interesting. So story-wise, I gave it, I was generous. I gave it a 3. So it was adequate, and artwork didn't offend me, so I also gave it a 3.
Now, I thought the story was better than you did. I enjoy the new, the varied team makeup. It's not the typical Titans that I'm used to seeing. There was one character they brought in who was in the Justice Society. It's like, oh, okay, where'd they get him at?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was pretty interesting. So I gave the story a 4, but you're right on the artwork. It was just a 3.
All right, so that does it for Future State. So let's get these cleared off here. All right, so now we have our non-Future State comics.
All right, we're going to start with Serial. It's a Terry Moore book by Abstract Studios. It's in black and white, and it was a $3.99 comic.
All right, so if you're like me, you probably knew nothing about this story going in. And the story starts off, a young girl is out on a date with her new boss. And the story takes off from there, and we see how she reacts to her boss's advances, and the story goes from there. It takes a bit of a couple left turns, and storyline wise, I gave it a 3 because, all right, I'll tune in next time. Artwork, I mean, I guess I don't mind black and white artwork because, I read, The Walking Dead. But this one is like super minimal. I mean, it's like as little effort as possible while still looking good. So
And you really hated that one sequence in there, didn't you?
yeah, there's a sequence where the art changes up, and it's like, what the hell? And then I keep looking back. It's like, are we on a new story here? Is this something different? Like, no, it doesn't say anything. So, but yeah, so artwork, I gave it a 1. So
I didn't like the story that much. I thought it was a little slow and contrived, so I gave it 2. The artwork I was fine with it, even the separate segment where it changed up some. I gave it a 3 on art, but overall that comic book still only gets 2 shields.
okay,
All right, on this next one, you decided to pass on just because the subject matter didn't do it for you. It's
not the way you pitched it to me. So
hey, well, maybe I'm not a good salesperson. This was the 27 run Crush. It's a comic by A Wave Blue World, which I'm not real familiar with. Cover price is $3.99. Now, I got the book because of the premise. That's why I got it. It's about a young girl and her friend dog, who's you find out immediately is telepathic, and they're out to fight and defeat the last 27 giant villains on the planet.
Okay.
So I thought it was okay. It could have been better. The concept was excellent. I love the concept. But I only gave it 2 stars for writing. Artwork was okay. So I gave it 3 stars for the art. And overall, that book gets 3 stars.
All right.
All right. Now, you didn't read this one. Well, I didn't read this one because I don't read the Power Rangers, and it's your cup of tea. Now, this was from Boom Studios. It's issue number 3, and it's got a $3.99 cover price.
The actual title is Mighty Morphin. It's on the back here. So, in this story, the Rangers have encountered several times a new Ranger, a Green Ranger, but it's not Tommy. Tommy is the White Ranger at this point. So they don't know where this Ranger came from or who it is, who this person is. And and also Zed has sent these super putties down to Earth to fight the Rangers, and they are absorbing the citizens of Angel Grove. So
you gotta love it that they're fighting super putties.
Yeah.
Not just putties. Super putties.
So a bit of a different element to for the Rangers to contend with. And also I was sort of fascinated by the subplot with Bulk and Skull. Now, if you watched Power Rangers as a kid like I did, Bulk and Skull were the clowns. They
Comic relief.
They tried to be bullies, but it backfired on them every time, pretty much. And they were also cowards. I mean, you try and stand up to them, or they encounter a putty or a monster. They go running in the other direction every time. This is not the Bulk and Skull I remember. They've grown some cojones. So
I guess that's good for them.
Yeah. I mean, interesting to see them grow a little bit in the comic books. And in the story, you see the mystery unravel of this new Green Ranger. So, storyline-wise, I gave it a 3. And artwork, pretty good stuff here. I also gave a 3, too. So
obviously, overall, that comic gets 3 shields. All right, the next 2 are Marvel comics. First one is Gwenom versus Carnage #1, $3.99 cover.
All right, so there it is. In this story, it's the King in Black. Is that right? Yeah, King in Black story.
They're both King in Black stories.
Yeah, and it follows Spider Gwen, who is from a different Earth. Gwen Cooper, right? No, Gwen Stacy. Sorry. She is from a different Earth, and she has the spider powers. But also, she has a symbiote now, which is new for me. Maybe other people knew about that, but I didn't. And we see what she's up to during the occupation of the King in Black and the symbiotes, and the symbiote dragons running around Earth. It wasn't lacking any action. It just didn't throw any surprises at me. It was basic, for lack of a better word, except for the very end. The very end get a new character thrown in, like, oh, okay, this just became a little more interesting. So storyline wise, I gave it a 3. Artwork, I thought the dimensions were a bit off in a few of the panels, so I gave it a 2.
Well, I agree with the artwork. I thought it was dark when there was no reason for it to be dark. So I gave it a 2 also. Now, I am not a fan of the King in Black storyline. Absolutely not. I mean, I like what they did with the Sentry because I don't like the Sentry, but that was a couple weeks ago. So I only gave the storyline 2 shields, which overall gives this comic book 2 shields.
Okay.
Next, the second and last Marvel comic we're going to review this week, Planet of the Symbiotes, and it is a $3.99 cover and it has 2 stories.
All right, so the first one, we encounter a bunch of symbiotes who are terrorizing a young boy here. And when I was growing up as a kid, there were 2 symbiotes. There was Venom and there was Carnage. You knew their backstories. You knew, who was the guy underneath the symbiotes. You knew what was what. Now there's like a dozen different symbiotes running around, and I don't know what the hell's going on.
This story features Scream.
Scream, another symbiote I am unfamiliar with. So she doesn't like what the other symbiotes are doing, and I guess she's a hero or anti-hero here. So the story I gave, the first one I gave a 2, just because I don't like all these new symbiotes running around. Let's keep it simple here, folks. Artwork, pretty solid. I gave it a 3.
Well, back to me not liking the King in Black storyline, and I'm not a huge fan of the symbiotes. I don't even like Venom that much. So, 2 stars and 2 stars.
All right, so then there was a second story of Ravencroft. I guess it's sort of a museum / Arkham type facility. And the King in Black makes a visit to an old friend of his who busts him out. And we see a couple of B-listers try to intercept the escape along with the guards of Ravencroft. So a bit interesting seeing these characters that I don't see a lot in stories. So I gave that story a 3, and artwork pretty good. I also gave a 3 too.
Well, I disagreed on the artwork. I thought it was kind of blah. I only gave it 2 stars. And even though the B-lister guest appearances almost saved it story-wise, I only gave the story a 2. So overall, that comic book scores 2 shields.
All right.
Now, one that's right up EMoney's ballywick, Doctor Who. It's from Titan Comics, $3.99 cover price. It's issue number 3.
All right, so for the last 2 issues, you have 2 doctors, the 13th and 10th Doctor, that's Jodie Whittaker and David Tennant, for those who don't know, have been experiencing a time variant. Time is not as it should be, and they're trying to figure out where the tangent happened. And they've both been investigating separately until finally an almost a TARDIS crash brought the 2 of them together along with their companions. And I love crossovers. I love
Yes, you do.
I love crossovers in other shows, but also when doctors get together, I always love seeing that, and no exception here. One thing that I thought was so funny was, the 10th Doctor sees that he's eventually going to become a woman. Doesn't even bat an eye.
Doesn't phase him.
Yep. He doesn't know who's who when he first gets to the other TARDIS, and he sees this spider / humanoid type creature, and he's like, "Oh, you are lovely. I haven't seen one like you before. You're not me, are you?" So I love that banter and the characters interacting with one another, and so we see where they go from there, and they finally figure out the I guess the ground zero of where the timeline skews out of control, and that's where the story goes from. So the story wise, where am I? Oh, here we go. Story wise, I gave it a 4. Artwork, I mean, I don't like some of the facial expressions that they do in a few of these. Like, that doesn't look right. That's not a face that people make. So I gave it a 2. So there it is for Doctor Who, which, since you didn't read it, that averages out to a...
I read it.
Oh, you did read it. Okay, I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to read it, but I decided to at the last minute. Artwork-wise, it was fine. I gave it a 3. Story-wise, well, I like Doctor Who stories where they go someplace, there's a problem, and they deal with it. This one, let's bop around to all these different places and deal with time paradoxes and time loops and time flip-the-wops. I'm sorry, it just gives me a headache. So I don't like complicated time travel stories, which is what this was. So I'm going to give the storyline a 2, which gives the comic 3 shields overall. And now, for the last comic this week, we have Space Bastards. This is from Humanoids, a publisher I'm not familiar with at all. We did get the cover variant. It's a $5.99 cover price, and that's number 1. So,
all right. So without giving too much away here, it's a futuristic society where aliens have fully integrated into society. You have people are being an alien is not an issue. Apparently, it's sort of like Star Wars in that regard. The races intermingle, so that's never really brought up. And this guy who's down on his luck takes on a new profession, a very dangerous profession. Right away when they first talk about it, you're left wondering, why would someone do this?
They kind of explained it. He didn't have a whole lot of options.
Yeah, he was down on his luck. Had to take on whatever job he could, I guess, regardless of how dangerous it was. So don't want to give too much more away. Although I just want to say was very impressed with this story. I like the concept, despite I would never do this, but that's me.
No.
I'm a rational person, I like to think. So very excellent story. So I give it a 4 overall, or 4 for story. The artwork was, I would say, above adequate. So for that, I also gave a 4.
Well, for me, this story reminded me of some of the early Lobo stories from DC Comics. I thought it was extremely well written, gave it 4 stars. The artwork was, it was above average, so I think it was solid. I gave it a 4, which overall gives this comic book 4 shields. Good job, guys.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that is all the issues for this week, so let's do our top 3.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right, so last week, the Future State issues did not crack the top 3.
No, and I'll be honest, EMoney, overall, I'm not a huge fan of the Future State books. I mean, I'll keep reading some of them, but I don't know that I'm going to get number 2 on a lot of these.
Well, because we did a lot of 3s for several issues, I had to pick the best 3 of the bunch for our number 3 spot. So that ended up being Dark Detective. So there's a number 3 right there for us.
Bronze medal.
Yep. So number 2 was the Justice League Future State issue. Good story there. Pretty solid artwork.
Silver medal.
Yep. And
ready
then
for the gold medal?
Yep. The top one of the week.
Surprisingly.
Space Bastards.
Love
and
it.
Being a new comic with a publisher I am not familiar with, I'd say rising above all the DC and Marvel stories this week is a pretty cool accomplishment.
Now keep this one away from the kids, folks.
Yeah, it's not for kids.
There's some F-bombs in there
and other stuff. So best number 3 score was Dark Detective. 3.5 here, 4 here. So there are your top picks for us for this week. All right, so that does it for this. So don't forget, we have back issues with EMoney and the Old Man next week. We're going to be continuing our series on the history of comic books, the Atomic Age.
Isn't there something on our schedule for tomorrow?
There is. We have WandaVision, the series premiere.
Woo-hoo!
We're gonna be
finally
We're gonna be doing our reaction video there, so stay tuned for that, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Excelsior.
True believers. Tomorrow watch TV, not read comics.
Yep.